Now, to be completely honest, guys, I'm a little bit nervous. Haven't played a game of Civilization 5 for a long time, because of a whole host of laptop-based problems, of which we still haven't fully gotten over. I'm not at my desk, because I can't unplug the laptop, because it has no battery, because of a motherboard or a charger issue. But luckily, our chipset issues are now resolved, so hopefully we can play this without having too many issues. Hi, I'm Daniel, Onyograve64, or CivilOnion based upon how you know me, and welcome back to Civilization 5. Hopefully, you guys won't notice a massive gap between videos, but you never know. Anyway, for the sake of me being able to do this on timing more easily, let me get the game set up, and we can get started immediately. Like I said, because I'm not at my desk, it means I am completely without, unfortunately, my mouse. Which means a lot of the shortcuts which I have learnt over time are going to be completely useless. But let's not dwell on that. Let's start playing now. 3, 2, 1, click for recording. We now should be on recording at our constant frames per second. I've got nailed down to 30 because hopefully it'll be less taxing on all the programs associated with recording. Now, I have to work out very quickly what we were doing. So let us, as you should always do if you haven't played a game for a while, check your demographics screen. And we can see here that we're top for science, which is the first thing to look for, or bizarrely look at the bottom of your demographics first. Literacy is probably the most important. So we're in the lead for science, but we can't be in the lead by very far because the average is only 2% behind us. Then there are only 6 empires left in the game. I'm guessing we started with 8. Now we're actually doing very well. The only thing we're not leading on is approval, which is kind of irrelevant because our population is happy. And population. Which actually we're not that far behind. Usually my empires are very low for population because I tend to build horizontally. So let us zoom in a bit, because hopefully that will help our frames per second somewhat. Obviously, for any budding recorder out there, the more tiles on any game like this you try and have on the screen at once, the more rendering becomes a difficult problem. In turn, the more taxing it is for your computing device. Thus, you start to lose frames per second. Now we have a great... We don't have a great... So we have a regular archaeologist. We could go down there. There's an antiquity site here. There's an antiquity site near the Vatican that I could go for. One thing I have to constantly remind myself is that you guys cannot see where my mouse is, which is a shame. I wish MSI would pick that up, but it does not. So, we are going to go next to... we'll probably go for the one next to the Vatican because it's the hardest one to access. But anyway, if we have a look around, quick pan around the map, because, like I said, I have not played this in a while, and you guys will probably want a recap at some point, so we might as well do it now. Looks blatantly obvious to me that we are in the lead. Not only because it says so on points in the top right corner, but just look at the amount of land we have compared to anybody else. I still think Darius could cause potential issues, despite the fact we took Passagard off him, or Passagard, or... I still can't pronounce that. I've been corrected a few times now by viewers in comments, but I still can't pronounce it. Hiawatha used to be on the map, but is no longer. Boudica is still here, but appears to be going for the one city challenge. Not a very good idea when you're next to the Aztecs, who are, as we have seen throughout the game thus far, incredibly aggressive. But yes, it looks like other than Darius, we don't have a huge amount of opposition, because last time out, I know we absolutely squashed Greece. And they're basically not going to be a big issue. They might squabble a bit, I suspect, with Montezuma now. But that aside, I don't think any of those guys are going to be big issues. The only person, like I said, that could really be an issue for us winning this game is Darius. So one thing I want to do before we really get into things... Yeah, naturally Greece is not going to be a big fan of us. Surprisingly, Darius is quite a fan. But anyway. What we want to look at is the global politics to see who's at war with who right now so we don't make a mistake. Greece and the Aztecs are at war. I think they're the only people that are at war. Yep, they are. And we have got to the stage where world conquest is a thing that exists, so let me quickly check. Good. Past me tried to enact the World's Fair, that was the correct thing to do. Greece has a ridiculous number of votes because that's just what happens. It actually may mean that if this game goes on for any length of time, we may have to take him out so that he doesn't try and win diplomatically. Because that's really the only victory that could stop us. If we would win science if we went that far. We would probably win culture pretty easily. I actually don't think we're not in very much trouble at all right now. We're schmoozing because we're schmoozing with our spies because there's no point trying to steal tech because we have the tech lead. I think we're all in a good situation here. So let's crack on a bit. I apologise if that overview of what's gone on thus far is a bit long-winded, but I suspect it was long overdue. That is a rubbish deal for me. How about that? Good. Now, I do have a few topics to talk about because of the incredible period of time between recordings for me. Quite a lot's gone on. We've had Christmas go by. It's going to be funny because my videos being delayed means that the time I do say Merry Christmas probably will have come up now in February. Sorry about that. But, yes. That aside, a lot of things have happened in the news regarding to gaming. Sony is trying to downscale a lot of its operations outside of gaming. It doesn't want to do TVs really anymore. Nintendo's had profit warning after profit warning. Iwata's taken a 50% pay cut. We've had the Xbox One and the PS4 have not particularly exciting releases. So a lot's gone on. Let me just check this, because an artifact has been found. We could create a Russian or a Greek one. Give me a second, we have to check something. When we go to culture, we need to check first of all how many pieces we have. What is that? Is that a piece of art? It is. So what we need to do is check if we've got any artifacts. I don't believe we do. Now, a museum, to get a theming bonus, you have to have either art or an artifact, 2 of each, either or. We'll likely be going for artifacts. And they have to either be both from the same era and both from the city civilization, both Portuguese, or both from different civilizations. So really it doesn't matter which one of these we get. For sake of argument, we're going to get a Russian artifact because they're probably going to be rarer than Greek artifacts. And we're going to start building that. Yes, as I was saying, there's been a lot of stuff that's gone on over the past few months that I've not really had a chance to talk about in any detail. Let's start first of all with something that's probably most relevant to my other channel, Gravy64. Let's talk about Nintendo. Things haven't been very good for them. The Wii U still doesn't really have very many games I want to buy. There is a Wii U in this house. It's mostly a dust collecting device, it has to be said. But I feel kind of bad. Not because I'm a Nintendo fanboy, before I get that thrown at me. I do like all consoles as long as they are full of good games and full of good content at a good price. But I feel kind of sad because Nintendo, of all the major console producers, are actually producing a games console. And the reason I buy a games console is to play games. That may not be an incredible statement, but that's the truth. I buy game consoles to play games. And in an ideal world, I wouldn't do much PC gaming at all. To be honest, I don't really enjoy the experience. There's always a lot of things that can go wrong with PC gaming. Getting a gaming PC can be incredibly expensive. There can be all sorts of issues, as I know. Ooh, we can have a barbarian artifact. That's actually pretty cool. That's very rare. Well, I'll say very rare. It's very rare or what I expected. I expected most of them to be wars, so like Greek, Iroquois, Aztec artifacts, but apparently not. But we're going to have a Malacca or a Malacca artifact. Let me just pile those up together. That's an axe head. What's that? It's a javelin tips. Now that's not ideal because you only get half the bonus because they're not from the same era. But you still get a +1 for your theming bonus, so you should do it. Anywho, like I was saying, I'm not a huge fan of PC gaming, believe it or not. But I feel that now in the age that we are in, I have to do it anyway. If I want to be a guy that plays games, I have to have a computer or laptop or whatever that can play them well. And that makes me sad, because it's a pain in the bum. Yep, that's fine. And at least Nintendo have released a games console that tries to play games on it. Now, I do not have a PS4 and Xbox One, mainly because I do not have more money than exists on the planet to spend on leisure products right now, but neither of them are making me want to buy them, because they seem to just be working like PCs. And like I said, I like a games console that I can turn on quickly and play games quickly, that aren't too expensive and always work. And I am not a fan of day one patches. I am not a fan of paying $60 in North America where I am now for a game, and then find out that I have to pay another 28 times over for a game that doesn't really change much. Yes, I know people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones when I'm talking about when I'm playing Civilization 5, a game where I've probably invested in the region of maybe $80 or $90. But the difference is that my playtime for Civilization thus far, let me just check for you, you've played 1,577 hours. Now, I don't mind having to pay a little bit more when I've played that much, because it's very good value. Don't get that really from many console games, because people need the TV, and what if the kids want to watch cable, and what if my wife wants to watch Dr. Phil or whatever. So I don't get that much of a goodness when it comes to value out of it. But like I said, I'm just not very enthused about console gaming in general at the moment. There's not a lot that's really setting me going. And if you think, like me, that probably the most interesting developments have come in portable gaming. No, I don't want to go over war with Boudica right now. That's kind of sucky, because obviously anybody that's even vaguely in the YouTube loop when it comes to gaming, Catherine's got Red Fort, not bothered, that's never a wonder I go for. No. Yeah. Anyone that's vaguely in the gaming loop will know that you can now record 3DSs using a capture device, where you send your DS off to a guy in a shed, and he tapes a capture card onto the back, and then you can record 3DS games. It is monstrously expensive. So there's quite a big barrier to entry now when it comes to recording a lot of the new portable gaming content. That's easy for you to say. And as a consequence, unless you happen to be quite well bankrolled by either mum and dad, or alternatively you just have a lot of money, that's not an issue to me. I meant the crew, by the way. I don't have the money to spend on such things. You can't do it. So I'm not doing that anytime soon. Then again, I wouldn't really know what to record, because as I have said on my Facebook page quite a lot of the past few months, well, actually I've said it mostly on my Twitter, I think. I may have said it on Facebook, but I've probably said it on Twitter, that recording Pokemon kind of doesn't have the same appeal that it used to for me, because I feel the community has gone very much downhill from the days of Pokemon Battle Revolution, which, it's quite a long time ago now. That was back in Generation 4. I don't get as much thrill out of doing that anymore, because literally everybody and their mothers are only doing it so they can upload it to YouTube. YouTube used to be like the bonus. You'd have a battle with somebody, And then they might come out and say, well, I happen to be a YouTuber and I'll put this online and we can have fun with it. And then people would interact with it and blah, blah, blah. Now it's a system where everybody's doing YouTube videos, so very few people have enough content interaction to make it interesting to them. And I can tell you for a fact, I'm not looking for sympathy here or the world to spoil this violin, but I'm not that guy anymore. So I don't think it's a very good use of time. Now, one thing that could be a good use of time, which happily rolls on to my new topic that I'm going to talk about, is the fact that indie games on PCs actually are doing quite well. There's a lot of crap out there, as there always is. Steam's Greenlight service has definitely not helped stem the tide of crap, but there's quite a lot of interesting stuff going on in indie circles right now. For example, at the time of recording, and the day of my recording right now is the 26th of February, just for a note. As an early birthday present to my wife, I bought her Banished, which is a game that actually is very much something that people that like this sort of thing might be interested in. An RTS about making a civilization, or at least a small group of people, flourish, often in terrain that doesn't suit them if you choose to have it that way. But more in general, just because it's very difficult, and I actually think it's a very good introductory game to people that don't really do much in the way of strategy games, but are interested in the idea of having a taxing thinking game. So that's why I got it for my wife. Yeah, that's good. That would be the sort of thing where I reckon everyone and their mothers will probably try and do an LP of it. Or at least a first impressions, or something like that. Don't blame them. But I reckon that'll end up saturating the market like nobody's business. It actually helps that it was one guy, believe it or not, that made this game. He even says on his page that everyone can very happily record it and post it on YouTube, and there'll be no copyright or anything like that, which is good on him. I like that sort of attitude. But if you're looking for a strategy game that you just want to try and test the waters with, it's only $20 now. If it ever ends up in a Steam sale, it'll probably end up being $6 or something like that. We want a Portuguese artifact. It's a longship. I don't think I have another artifact to pair that with. Yeah, my recommendation would be to do Banished. I actually initially thought that my laptop was starting to really die off in performance because it couldn't run Banished properly. But it turns out it was just a chipset issue, so once we'd updated all of it, it ran perfectly fine. Luckily, because frankly I've had enough of this laptop causing problems. I've had issues basically with everything. Oh, we got an influential culture, I think, there. If I, crap, I just clicked through it. That was good. yeah. Darius is plotting on Monty. I will let him know just so he likes me a bit more. But, yes, when we come to culture, let's start talking more about the game again. We are influential over one person's culture. Now, who is it? We are influential over the Celts. There are important things to note, by the way. When you get to influential, you get 3 science for every trade route bonus. Spies work a lot better, and if you take over their cities, you also have much less penalty. Now, the Aztecs and Russia are definitely empires with which I think we'll get them culturally pretty soon. Darius will probably be the hardest because someone will probably end up taking out Greece. Easy for you to say. I actually would quite like to win culturally because it's usually quicker than winning through science victory. And this is a bit of a design flaw, but quite often in this game now, I'm hoping they'll do updates for it to change this. But quite often when you're going for a science victory or even a diplomatic victory, you will win by accident through culture. Because usually whoever's most technologically advanced will just rack up all the wonders that give you culture and tourism. basically the amount of times you win accidentally through culture is quite staggering. We're actually getting to that crossroads now, though, where we genuinely have to decide soon how we intend to win the game. And like I said, we've got a few options. Yep, this is what they say, by the way. When it comes to culture, they'll say, "Our people are now buying your blue jeans and listening to your pop music. I worry the rest of the world will also succumb to the influence of your culture." And it does not matter which empire says that, the text is standardised, bizarrely, as well. Anyway, like I said, we have to decide on what type of victory we want to go for. As I take a swig of my drink and hear a kitty meowing in the background. Yeah, we have to choose here how we're going to win. Because if you fail to prepare, you have to prepare to fail. And we could very easily win by just demolishing everybody. Oh, there's a kitty being so cute in the background. Anyway, if we look at the domination stats here, I have my own capital, I own Greece's capital, and I have Assyria's capital. Darius holds Hiawatha's capital. So there's only Darius's, Boudicca's, Catherine's, and Montezuma's left. Because the way I can win the game through domination, even if Darius has Hiawatha's capital, as long as Darius doesn't have his own capital. Yes, I know, it seems a bit weird, but that's just how it works. If we look at science, we're probably about 70% of the way there. So we've still got quite a lot of science left to do if we want to win that way. When it comes to diplomatic, I honestly don't think that's the way to go. Any map where you have Greece is generally not a very good map for trying to win the game through diplomacy, because they get more votes than you, usually. So that's not the way to go. And I think culturally, we're not going to go directly for it, but we might end up winning that way anyway. Gonna put a break in here, I think, so if you've liked the video, obviously tell me about it, talk to me about the video, talk to me about the issues I talked about. Be good like that, because I like listening to what you guys are saying, either in video response, which I don't think exists anymore, bizarrely, or obviously now through text, so I'll see you then, guys.